everyone. Welcome to our latest Head in the Clouds series hosted by Citrus Global. Here with me today, very happy to have Anton Foth, who is the CTO at Coya AG. Coya are a $40 million funded digital insurance or insurtech company based in Berlin, founded in 2016 with over 60 employees. Anton himself, recommend you check out his LinkedIn profile, but very experienced in the area of software development, over 14 years, both hands-on and leadership experience, from CTO, head of engineering, solution architecture. So he was the engineering lead CTO at BCG Digital Ventures, head of engineering at Mobimio. Is that how I pronounce that, Anton?
Yeah. Mobile, right.
And CTO at MapMatch as well. So, Anton, thank you for coming and doing this, agreeing to do this with me today. Welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you, Michael.
So let's sort of jump into it then, Anton. So we've had a few discussions now, but obviously it's been a crazy period, right? Lockdowns across the globe, Europe. It has been truly crazy. But how did you find it? How were you during lockdown?
Nice question. So I think Coya is a very specific company in this term. So yes, we're an insurance company, and if you think about insurance, you think about like a lot of paper-based processes, and this is like very different at Coya. So even like in the pre-COVID times, Coya was a rather hybrid company. Means like some people were located here in the Berlin office, but some people were working remotely, like fully remotely. And even like, for example, in our Scrum dailies, people in the office actually were dialing in, so to have this kind of more remote, fully remote experience. So, which means we were quite lucky and could adapt and could switch literally overnight. So, I mean, like everyone was caught by surprise. And
Absolutely.
we, of course, we had to do some emergency meetings with exec team to really review our contingency plan and to understand basically, are we ready? But to be honest, this was a very smooth switch for us.
Okay, great. So because you already had that kind of hybrid model, it wasn't completely alien to you as it was to other companies, basically.
Yeah. I mean, just a funny fact is most of the companies haven't had laptops as a main equipment, IT equipment for the employees. They have to purchase laptops first. Coya, everyone was equipped with laptop. I don't think we have even a single desktop PC, to be honest.
Okay. Right. Well, I mean the ability to just literally pick up your workstation, take it home with you, and continue on if you can access the systems, of course, that certainly makes things a lot easier. Okay, great. Well, it sounds like you certainly were well prepared, or as prepared as perhaps you could have been without knowing what was coming down the line. I'm sure there were as well. There were probably teething problems, frustrations with that. So I mean, during that period, what were the sort of biggest challenges, the biggest frustrations that you faced?
Yeah, I think it's so for so many other companies, the uncertainty was the biggest frustration. So basically not knowing what's going on actually. So how bad it is, how long it will take. Can we come back in a year from now, or in a month, or in a week? So, and which consequences for the business it will have. So everyone was quite nervous. Yes, this uncertainty also on the partner side impacted our B2B businesses, and we were not really frustrated, but we're also we had to review our plans. We had to refocus maybe more towards B2C. And this helped the team to really focus and to motivate us through this very crazy period. What frustrated me personally a lot is not being able to be with the team in these hard times. And, everyone struggled. We had for example, some employees, some team members who were alone at home. So I think our HR and our office management teams, they did a very, very great job by organizing remote events, delivering office equipment, for example, like monitors, extra monitors, or chairs, or even tables. You know, because not every it's funny, but not everyone has like everything like equipped at home for like a full day of working. So, but also like social activities were very, very important, and we organized, for example, some lunches together, some social games, and even cocktail tasting.
All right. Really? How did that work? Did everyone prepare their own cocktail, or giving people instructions as to how to make the cocktail?
Yeah, HR team distributed some recipes, and everyone was preparing by recipe and like just comparing the tastes of different flavors and share the experience. So I think like this was very, very important, like to let people know they are not alone. We are there. We are taking it serious, and if they need something, we will be there and we'll help them.
Yeah, I think that's really important for any business. Every business has had to evolve and adapt. The little things like that, I think, have really helped and have gone a long way. Because I mean, I know from our experience, we had people that were that were sharing a flat. They had a room in a flat, no garden, no outside space or anything like that. So at its peak, it was really, really tough mentally for a lot of people. If you were fortunate enough to have a house and have a garden and outside space, that was a major bonus, I think. So I think taking that time to look at each individual situation and try and help those people that potentially going to be struggling the most. I think that's a great initiative. So that's I think it sounds like you've done Coya have done a great job with that. Okay, great. And in sort of moving on from that, then, so I mean, obviously there's been a lot of learns for everybody. Everybody I've spoken to in this series so far has learned, probably more in the last 6 months than they potentially did in the last 2 years. I mean, what about yourself? What lessons have you learned during this period?
Yeah, a couple of lessons. Like first lesson, probably you cannot be prepared for everything. So you have to be prepared for the fact that you're not prepared, basically. You have to be flexible in this crazy modern world. So you cannot really say this is like how we did our businesses a year ago. This is gonna be the same like next year and this year. And in 5 years, no, it's not like it. You cannot really count on that anymore. And besides that, like besides this flexibility, you have to have still a realistic contingency plan, like there on the table, a simple one, like 10 items on the list, maybe. Like what do you do first? What do you do next? Like, and it has to be realistic. It's not like just to show off and saying that we have something. You have to be able like to really apply it immediately. So
something in action.
Yeah, exactly. Some guidance. So not only for IT, I mean, like also for finance, for HR, for even like for office management. So what is expected from office management team, for example, in this kind of situations? How do they support people who are not in the office but working remotely? So I think having this plan and having the guideline is very crucial. And maybe not really new thing to learn, but like just a sort of reconfirmation that a completely remote environment requires a very different organizational and communicational skills, right? Things which you can really kind of fix if you're on site with a team, you cannot fix them like so easily if working fully remotely. So investing in the communication trainings, I think this is very, very important.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Okay, fantastic. And I mean, look, you've mentioned now, I mean, moving into this kind of remote environment. Is that a model that yourselves have adopted now fully, or are you moving back towards a kind of hybrid model?
Yeah, so right now I think, moving slowly back to the hybrid model, but not because we want to have like people in the office. Actually, we really suggested people to work fully remotely at the moment, but people really love to come together and having nice beers and nice chats and lunches together. So
Yeah.
which speaks for the culture in the team, I think, and the company. If people really like to spend time together, I interpret it as a good thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to come back to the office. I know when a lot of people I've spoken to, and yeah, they've missed that interaction with with individuals. So Zoom is a great tool, and video conferences, it allows you to get a lot done that you couldn't otherwise do, and see the person and see their body language and their face. But I don't think anything can kind of replace that quickly. Speak to someone for a couple of minutes. A lot of you, I've got an idea about this. What are your thoughts? Or having that coffee or that beer after work. I think that's those are really incredibly valuable for building that culture and that team environment and that kind of camaraderie as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
A bit of a fun question, and a question I've asked of everybody so far, but if you could wave a magic wand and go back in time 6 months, would you have done anything different, or what would you have done to prepare for what we've experienced over the last 6 months?
Yeah, as I mentioned previously, you probably cannot be prepared for such things. Like, so you cannot be prepared for everything. Like, and
Sure.
who knew that basically something like a complete lockdown would happen, right? So probably no one. So it means it doesn't make sense to develop a plan for all possible situations. But as I mentioned, like, so you have to be flexible enough. You have to give a team enough guidance, right? Like, really understanding about like the common goal of the company, long-term goal, and how this goal is connected to their day-to-day work, day-to-day business. And as another point is, you should really invest in people's skills in terms of communication. So how well they talk to others, how well they communicate, how well they can express themselves.
Great, thanks for that, Anton. And what do you think is definitely here to stay?
Yeah, I think it's clear now, like almost to everyone, that this remote or hybrid like situation will stay for longer, and people expecting actually companies to be more flexible in terms of home office or like working remotely from different locations and so on. I think it's quite obvious. Yeah, on one hand, people will demand this flexibility. Yeah, absolutely. On the other hand, like, I think it will have also like serious impact on the overall job market in Europe and worldwide. For example, I think there's pretty high daily rates in Germany, daily rates of freelancers, for example, cannot be really justified anymore if you're really free to work with whoever, EU-wide or even worldwide, maybe with people with same skill set from different countries with different living costs, right?
Yeah. That's interesting. That's a really interesting point, actually. I agree. I think it's going to really open up the market, and unfortunately for the UK, now not being part of Europe, that might be a bit more difficult for my fellow Brits. But yeah, I think that really opens up the certainly from a talent pool perspective, that you could be there's not as much need to come on site, and therefore video skills are going to be really important. But they could be you could be speaking to somebody in France, Poland, Germany, Austria. It really doesn't matter if they're working from home. And actually, one thing we've found is that there are freelancers we've been talking to, they are quite they're being a lot more flexible even before this, by having a remote rate and an on-site rate, so which is making things more affordable for certain companies as well, which is interesting. Well, that actually brings on to one of the questions I was going to ask you, Anton. From a staff and from a recruitment perspective, actually, since we're on the topic. I mean, moving forward in this new world, in this new landscape, what would you want to see? What would you ask from a modern talent partner?
Yeah, I think now it's even more important to develop a better understanding of the day-to-day operations of a team you hire for. So what they live with, like what is their conditions, how they work, how they basically cope with remote work, for example, and being not collocated in one place. So it's important that you make sure that basically you know this like nitty-gritty details, so you can place people better and like can find and support in terms of cultural fit. And maybe another point is like that companies, talent partners really reuse this knowledge, leverage the knowledge they collect and gather and the know-how to advise companies who feel a bit lost in this quite turbulent times,
Yeah.
This more kind of advisory and advisory and consultancy job, I think, will be essential part of the talent acquisition.
I'm a big advocate of that. I mean, I've always wanted, for our consultants to fulfill the consultant element of their title, because we as recruiters we get a whole bird's eye view of everything that's going on quite uniquely, and so being able to share that with with clients and customers and what other people are doing, best practice, what's working, what's not. I think that's certainly an avenue and an area where a recruitment business and talent partners can really help, and like you say, advise and kind of really add value, aside from just placing good people. Okay, and then one final question for you then, Anton, to close on. With all your experience through this, everything you've learned, everything you've kind of gone through, is there any specific advice that you would give to other businesses or other leaders, other CTOs, to help them with their journey?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm really in a position to give advices to other CTOs, but I just can share my experience basically, especially from the lockdown situation. Working remotely with teams is more than just using like remote tools like Slack, Zoom, or anything else. This requires basically a lot of empathy to understand the situation, like really individual situations of people who really have to deal with themselves maybe and their families and like all kind of unexpected things at home, and showing this empathy to them, like really encouraging them to share their problems and having like understanding for that and offering the support.
Yeah, I think that's a great point actually, Anton. I think that's something that a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people are doing that anyway, but sometimes it really pays dividends to, if someone's work has dropped off a little bit, or they're not as effective or efficient as they perhaps were previously, maybe just ask the question, is there anything up? Is there anything I can help with? I think that that, as you say, you're showing that empathy, showing that you care for someone as a human being. That's going to go a long way as well. So, okay. Perfect. Well, look, that wraps up my questions for for you today, Anton. I really appreciate you spending the time with me to do this. I think it's been really interesting. I think, I certainly think it's going to be of insight and value to other people as well. So, thanks very much.
Thank you, Michael.